There's a raft in there. Who did that?
Hello. Hello. Welcome back to Shed Tune. Back in the garage, part 6. Going to put the crank into this. Stay tuned. I'll show you how to check a crank and to fit a crank. Right, so as per normal, here we go with the bits and pieces. Before we go fitting the crank, I bought a crank off of Facebook. And it's an AF race crank. It's a 58107 rod. Nice bit of crank. It was sold as spares and repaired. Checked it on the old jig. And it's not twisted in the slightest. It's got a bit of splay there. But I could use it if I wanted to. But we don't want to do that. Because I was talking to a very nice man called Daryl Taylor. And he did me an absolutely awesome deal on a brand new 6110 race crank. So I'm going to fit that one instead. But firstly, I thought I'd talk you through some tools. Plate for pulling the crank in. You'll remember them from the old end plate puller, but they also pull the mag housing, so you need them. Feeler gauges, crank holding tool, some lubrication. You can either use this, which goes onto there, which is the front sprocket drive. You'll need a bolt, unless you've got a special tool, a socket. For all you mods out there,
I am one of the faces.
that's what this is what Sundown grips are for, using as drifts. I'll show you what that's for in a minute. And I think, oh, and obviously the other half of the bearing that is already fitted into there to go onto the crank. But we'll fit that bit first and then we'll come back. The other half of the bearing that is fitted in there has to go onto the crank, and it has to go onto this end. So we're going to put a little bit of heat into here and then just drop that in, and it should go all the way to the bottom and then seat home, and then that'll be that done. So just for the bloke that moaned about me putting the crank in the vise last time, it's not clamped in, it's just sitting on there so that it's a surface that I can drop the bearing onto. Okay, so now that's cleared up, we'll get the blowtorch out, put a little tiny bit of heat in that. You don't need a lot, and it literally will drop on. Or, as we said earlier, for you mods out there, we can use one of these lovely tools as a drift to just tap it on gently. Forgot to say you'll need a pair of pliers, because this will get warm, just to pick it up and drop it on. Right, bit of heat. It says try and open the valve with one finger. Doopy doopy doo. My singing is getting better, I swear it is. There we go. As I say, you don't need loads and loads and loads of heat. Just enough to burn your fingers, obviously. That's probably enough. That probably won't be enough now I've said that. Right, let's have a look, shall we? And then we'll drop it on. Oh, look at that. Nearly went on. Where's me? So now you've got your Moddy Sundance grip on. Get yourself a little mallet. Just tap that collar home. And ta-da! Done. Okay, so I've got the head cam on so you can see what's going on. And as I said, we've got to put the crank into here, through the oil seal, through the bearing, and pull it out of this side. Dead easy, he says. So, first things first, I'm going to offer the crank up, but we're going to lube it as well. So the con rod goes in like so. Twisty round. There we go. And that's going to fit a treat. Of course, we need a little bit of lube on here because we need to be really, really careful that the ceiling here, that I'm hoping you can see, because I can't obviously see what I'm filming at the moment. In fact, I'll tell you what we're going to do is I'm going to show you like this. So that ceiling there, you've got to be really careful when you pull the crank in that you don't roll it. Because if you roll it, what will happen is you won't be able to get a pressure within the cylinder and seal it all, and you'll get exhaust gases blowing through and it'll be a disaster. So we're going to be using this tool, which will go onto these studs here to help us pull the crank in. The bolt that holds the first drive in to help us pull in, and then we'll swap it for a socket to give us a bit more leverage. Conrod holding tool, which will go up there to stop the crank spinning as we're pulling it in. And as I said, a bit of lube. So put a little bit of oil on that seal to start with, just to make sure, and then put in that bearing. No matter if there's plenty, I'd rather there was too much than not enough. Okie dokie, rag, there's a rag. Polishing cloth, same thing, isn't it? Right, so as we said there, Conrod in, this is how I do it, twist it round, and there you go, that's the first stage. Next stage, put that plate on, then the bolt in. Now sometimes you need something to go in here like a spacer because the bolt's too long. I'm just going to wind that around a bit because I want it to get right in. Okay, so that's now holding that in place. Made some spaces up with a washer, Conrod holding tool, because as you start to pull it in, that crank will rotate. So if you've got that tool, it stops it rotating. So it's a little bit at a time. You can hear it clicking then. That's because it's just gradually pulling onto the bearing. And what I like to do is to keep going back the other way and rotating the crank. Okay? That way, hopefully, you're not going to roll the seal as you pull it in. I've taken the Conrod tool off just to show you how close we're getting now, because as we pull that in, we've just got to leave enough distance between that so it doesn't rub. So I've added some more washers on because I thought that would be easier to show you. Okay, right. Okay, feeder gauge time. We're gonna go for more. There we go. This one just here. There's miles of room yet. Still tons of room in there. Now obviously if you do wind it in too far, you can then use the opposite effect and push it back out, because it's all about getting it in the right position so that it's nice and spinny and free. Right, let's have a look in here. Okay, that's nearly there. Now, that's got to be somewhere close. Oh, so close, so close. That's about right. So I'll put the tolerances up in a minute and we can go from there. Right, let's undo that. About to tell you what we'll do is we'll put that back in there just to stop it moving. There we go. Okay, right, so I've just taken the various bits and pieces out so that you can see that spins nice in there. Not that you can see a lot this side, but nice bit of clearance. So the next part obviously is this side, which is the mag housing. So you need a gasket, and obviously that'll slide straight on, which I'll show you now. Right, so we need to put a mag gasket on. I've not put the studs in yet, but believe it or not, these gaskets got a little tab on it, and if memory serves me right, the tab points to the front. Have I got that right? Yeah, like so. So then you can just put your mag housing on. Let's see if it fits on, shall we? I've located that, and as you can see in there, quite a lot of tolerance. By the time that's torqued up, that will take up that gap, but the whole point is that the crank's nice and smooth, which this one is. And obviously as it gets running, it'll loosen up a bit more. It's starting to look quite nice now, isn't it? All that effort, it's making it look very, very nice. Right, so that's going to be it for this video. Thanks very, very much for watching. Don't forget, give it a thumbs up, a little like, maybe comment below. Let us know how you're getting on with your engine builds, because I'm sure you've been all following along like good little boys and girls. Subscribe. Yes, this is one of the very new sweatshirts, You Lift You Lose. I know, look, little twiddle. Available in the merch store. And very, very soon there'll be some limited edition tees coming in that will be on the merch store for a very small period of time. Don will tell you all about that in the next video. Anyway, that's it for now. Cheers. Bye.